BookTube, it's Louise, the big head bookworm. Lovely to see you. Hope you're well. Hope you're having a good day, wherever it is you are and whatever it is you're doing. Hello, welcome to Friday Reads. It's Friday Reads, it's Friday Reads. I'm back in my bedroom. It's Friday Reads. Oh, the BookTube cat. She's on her way. She's on her way. I was doing the intro really quickly. I hoped I'd say it right, because we had Miss Molly as the BookTube cat for Friday. She has been lounging on here in a ridiculously relaxed fashion. And I was like, oh, we've got a different cat. Let's do that. Let's do it nice and quick. But no, she's like, I'm out of here. I'm out of here, friends. So hello, how are you? Hope you're well. Hope you're having a good day. I am here on a itchy nose day. It's muggy, as in close, but grey and blustery and keeps raining, kind of a July day. I have to say, it's not going to go down in the record books of, oh, what a beautiful day. However, Benedict, who's living his best life at the moment, had a brilliant day. So he, like my good self, he is a water baby. He adores his water. And he's done his exams. He did his 11, the exams that you do when you're 11, his statutory standard assessment tests, and he did brilliantly. I was so worried about him doing them. I don't know why I was, just because he's 11 and he was having to do these tests, although he took it brilliantly, and his results are everything we could have asked for. I mean, all we asked was that he did his best, and my word, did he do his best. So he's living his best life at the moment, because now the exams are over, school basically is just not teaching them anything, apart from that sometimes going to school's fun because you just have a laugh with your mates and you have a good time. So they went swimming this morning, which he loves. So they walked to the swimming pool, did their swimming lesson, walked back in the rain, so got wet, and then he got wet walking back. Being a water baby, he doesn't mind getting wet. And then this afternoon there was this whole kind of games organised where it seemed to be that the teachers were pelting them with water bombs as they were doing a slip and slide, and they were climbing over things, and they had to do it really quickly, and they had to try and catch the water bombs, and he was soaked. I've just cleared his bag with all his clothes in, and he obviously was saturated by it, and he just loved every flipping second of it. So he's had a great day. So he is living his best life. And then tonight, it's the party for them all, arranged by some wonderfully organised, and because this was organised in like September, October, you had to say whether your child was going to go to it. They're saying it's a prom. It's not a prom. But he's going to that, so he's getting dressed up in gear, and he's going to go. And I just said to him, "You're looking forward to doing some dancing?" And he was like, "There's not going to be any dancing." Although he's quite a good little mover and a groover. So yay! So that's his funness tonight. Anything interesting from my good self? Well, yes, she says. I was about to say no. We'll just do a quick laundry check. Is that a skirt or a pair of trousers flapping in the breeze? Bear with. Can't see from this angle. No, well, I think there's some kind of, I think it's a skirt and maybe some socks. That's all we've got on that line. That's got nothing on at the moment. No, it's that kind of day you wouldn't trust anything that would go. Earlier this week, we were all laundry-tastic, but no, not at the moment. So yes, we've got lots of stuff coming up. We've got change on the horizon, which is good. It's good change on the horizon, and so there will be, in the coming weeks, some changes to my channel because of the said life changes that are going on. So that's all exciting. They're all stuff that we've wanted to happen. But then when they come, when it's all well and good, isn't it? Thinking ahead, and then when it actually comes to it, you're like, ooh, lordy, I've got to deal with the thing now. So yes, we've got changes. So Benedict is leaving his safety of the primary school and is moving to secondary school, and then there are other changes afoot in the family. All good, nothing nasty coming into view, which is a good thing. So it does mean that there will be changes to the channel. But there's also, the husband and I have been chatting, and we are going to do something together. Yeah, I'm not going to say much more than that today, but next week I hope to be able to point you in the right direction. I know, isn't that exciting? So we've been working on something, we've been talking about it, and working on something. I have to say, the husband doing a lot more of the work than I. Good lad that he is. So yeah. So if you would be interested in that, stay tuned for next week. Hopefully next week. I'm looking forward to being able to tell you about it. Yeah, so exciting. Exciting. Working on something behind the scenes. Well, actually the rest of my life, but yeah, it's all good stuff. Anyway, that's not why you're here, is it? No, that's not why you're here. You are here to join with me in talking about the books that you have been reading this last 2 weeks. I'll tell you what I've been reading, and you tell me what you've been reading in the comments, and we can, it's always good to have a nosy through your bookshelf as well as my own, because I do get inspiration from that. So, what have I been reading? I finished this, Raina Wynn's The Salt Path. If you remember, I was reading this. This is where they go on the 630-mile southwest coast path from Somerset to Dorset via Devon and Cornwall. And it's a walk in two halves, a bit like this book. I really enjoyed the book. I do like kind of books about long distance walking, or you get to hear about the countryside, especially because I knew so much of the coast that they were talking about, and I had my own feelings about it, and actually they glossed over some of the bits I know and love, and I think probably familiarity has made me love them rather than, oh, look at the colour difference, because I know these areas of the coast, I just love them, and so it was a bit kind of like, oh, when she was glossing over these glorious bits that I know of, and I have done bits and bobs of the coast path as the husband, so that was fascinating. Their relationship, because it's her and her husband had been recently diagnosed with a terminal illness, and it was and they'd been made homeless through bad decisions. Well, that's with everything, isn't it? The kind of the choices that you make. Obviously they made them in good faith at the time, but they came back to bite them spectacularly. And it's a redemptive story, because it shows how they turned it around. But it was quite fascinating. It was fascinating, and so it spoke an awful lot about people's perceptions and about how they were viewed, especially when they said to people, we're homeless. And they looked like they were vagabonds, they looked like they were homeless persons, because of, they were walking and carrying everything on their back, and they were wild camping, so it's not like they could have a shower every day and tidy themselves up or wash their clothes or that kind of stuff. They were literally carrying it on their back, and so their clothes were getting more and more worn, and it was not a glamorous experience for them. So it was interesting how she spoke about how people reacted to them, and she really kind of highlighted how we view rough sleepers or homeless people, or people that choose to live in an alternative way. We have our comfortable boxes and they don't, and so what does it say about us as to how we feel about them, the us and them part? So it was really good for that. It is an itchy nose day, excuse me. I've got a bit of a sinus thing going on here, and I think it's something to do with the pollen. But yeah, that's why I've got the itchy nose day. So that was that was really interesting. The other bit, the only bit that I really found a bit kind of was her attitude to herself. She talks about herself as old all the time, old and on scrap heap and useless. And obviously, partly that was because of her life blowing up. And her children were going off, so one was going off to university and one was kind of going off to seek other jobs. So they had that, and it also was the fact that her husband had then been diagnosed with this terminal illness, and so she was feeling like they were on the scrap heap and they were going to be thrown away. But she spoke about herself as old all the time and spoke so disparagingly about her body, and I thought it was going to be redemptive for that as well, but I didn't feel that for her. I still felt that at the end she considered herself and her husband as old, and it was a shock when I realised she was 50, so she was 4 years older than I am, and yet she spoke about herself as though she was this shriveled up old hag. And now I don't mind shriveled up old hags. I'm planning on being one, but I'm not there yet. I'm still, well, I'm not young, free and single, but I'm still, I'm still kind of, I'm not old and withered and young. And it was a real slap to hear how she viewed herself as, she just disparaged her body so many times. And I don't like reading that. I don't like reading women's opinions of themselves where they're so harsh and so lacerating against herself. I found it really brutal, and that was something I really didn't like about the book, because it didn't turn it around and she didn't acknowledge the fact that she was doing this, and that is a conscious choice that she has to view herself that way. She could look at herself in the mirror and go, woohoo, look at me, aren't I doing an amazing thing? But she didn't. She looked at herself in the mirror and she just was disparaging about this earth suit that was taking her all around these places. So was not impressed by that, but that was obviously a choice that somewhere it was made, and not for me. But I really enjoyed the book, and it'd be interesting if somebody else has read it to see if they had noticed that as well, or whether it was the fact that she's close to me in age, and I was like, what? My sister's a lot older than me, and my sister doesn't view herself in that way. She still sees herself as a luscious being, and indeed she is. So yeah. So that was interesting. So that's what I read. I also finished Green River Running Red, which was the true crime book about the Green River killer, Gary Ridgway. And it was by Anne Rule, who is, for me, queen of true crime writing, apart from Michelle McNamara. Have you read it yet? So I really enjoyed it. I listened to it on audiobook. I discovered that I had actually got it on my Kindle as well, so I could have read it as well as listening to it. But I found that I really got into the audiobooks, as this is what happens to me when I get really into it. So all I want to do is listen to it. Harrowing is the main thing I got. I thought it was important to listen to, and very much because it focused on the victims, and it really emphasised the victims in the story and who they were. It did focus on him, and if you don't like books that deal a lot with serial killers or who they were, but they focus on him to show how he viewed them, and it's just shocking. It really is just shocking. But it was a fascinating read, and I'm really glad I read it. It's not a true crime book that I would say for somebody that hasn't read a lot of true crime. I think it's one of those because it is so harrowing. I think you need to be kind of being down that true crime road a little bit. So you got earned your stripes, so you know how to protect yourself against those feelings almost. Because there is a way that you have to kind of. If you were wide open and vulnerable to all of it, it would be overwhelming. And even as somebody that's read an awful lot, I still found it quite overwhelming at times. So, but I did really enjoy it, and I thought it was an impressive book to read, and I would recommend it. Then I read something else, and here I'm going to pass you over to Wednesday Louise. I know. Testing. 1, 2, 3. Hello, BookTube. It's Wednesday. This is what a Wednesday bookworm looks like. A Wednesday big-haired bookworm. Hello. It's not radically different than a Friday bookworm, really. Although I am in a different space. Yes, I'm released from the bedroom. I have BookTube cat, Miss Sally. Always Miss Sally. She's the most useful of all our cats, I find. The other two are just lying around upstairs and snoozing. Whereas Miss Sally has been, well, I've been doing house paperwork. No, you find it boring. Not me. You find it boring. Necessary. But as I finished with it, I put it on the side here and she lay on it for me, which was great because then she just kept putting different paws on different pieces of paperwork. Very useful, I think you'll find. You are the most useful. So now she's being desk ornament. She was lying on the laptop that's just there. And I think even she thought, do you know, it really isn't comfortable. Gave it a good go. It's not that comfortable. Anyway, I'm here to tell you about a book that I'm just about to return to the library. And the reason I'm telling you about it today is because I'm about to return it to the library today. Ooh, shiny library copy. Yes, plastic on it. Record of a Spaceborne Few by Becky Chambers. So this is the third Wayfarer novel. Is it a trilogy? Is it a series? Answers on a postcard. I don't know. I don't really mind, to be honest. They are standalone novels set within a science fiction universe, multiverse, similar to Ian M. Banks' Culture series. So Ian Banks wrote literary fiction and then, oh, hello, big fly. Oh, how's a big fly? Just came and had a look at me like that. With many eyes. Lots of the eyes looking at me. I've distracted myself there with that big fly. Oh, I feel all of a flutter. So yes, and then Ian M. Banks, he wrote science fiction novels mainly set in the Culture multiverse, which I love. And if you're a science fiction reader and you haven't picked up an Ian M. Banks, stop this video, go and do it right now. That's the end of that. So this is the third one. The first one, A Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. Second one, Closed and Common Orbit. Third one, Record of a Spaceborne Few. Long Way, loved, thought it was brilliant. It was all over BookTube when it came out a couple of years ago, 4 years ago. Let's just say 4 years ago. Could have been 3 years ago, but I'm going to say 4. And loved. Everybody loved it. It was great. Ignore the hype. It is that good. Closed and Common Orbit, not as good. If people say it is, just not as good. Second books can fail though, can't it? Third book, had heard, not as good. But I didn't know, is it not as good as Long Way or is it not as good as Closed and Common Orbit? If it's not as good as Long Way, that's understandable. It was exceptional. Not as good as Closed and Common, because I didn't love that. So, when I saw this in the library, I thought I will pick this up. And I need to take it back because it's reserved. So let's take it back so somebody else can read this shiny copy. I'm not even sure if I wasn't the first person to take this out. I think I snaffled this super quickly, which is very good. So yes, first one is about a spaceship going a long way, basically, a long journey. And it's the kind of adventures of the crew, but it is written from one person's perspective, although there are other perspectives in there. So it is multiple POV, points of view, but you're mainly with one person. Second one is it kind of follows on from there and is just one character's perspective. Well, two characters' perspective, but mainly one person. So you're kind of one entity. Well, it is one perspective. This is multiple, 5, I think, and it's short, kind of skips from one to another. So you kind of very quickly one scene, and they seem very disparate, and then it interweaves in a glorious fashion. So where was it? Was it as good as 1? Was it 2? Slap bang in the middle. I love the writing. Very good science fiction story. I love the multiverse that it's in. I love the ideas of it. I get all the culture vibes from it, which is just brilliant. However, I'm just not that keen on quick POV change. I'm just not. I read super quickly. And because of that, I feel like I spend no time with anybody, and the postman has just arrived and pulled up outside. However, I think he should just be fiddling with my letterbox and won't be requiring of me. There we go. Quick fiddle and he's gone. How was it for you? I'll go and pick that up. It looks like a bank statement. Even on a Wednesday, I can get distracted. I'm no better on a Wednesday than, letters just fell on the floor. Yes, because I don't read slowly, because I go like a bat out of hell through things, I feel like I'm forever changing perspective. And that's absolutely fine. I can understand it. I tend to fall in love, or I tend to kind of want to spend time with just some characters, not the others. So Tessa and Isabel and the other lady whose name I can't pronounce. Oh yes, and there are various people's perspectives. Ayas, I'm going to say Ayas. Ayas could be Ayas, couldn't it? It could be Ayas. Well, anyway, hers. Those three perspectives, loved. Would have happily just had one of their perspectives throughout the entire book, with maybe a bit of a change. But I didn't. Sawyer and Kip's perspectives, I just wasn't interested in. I was like, sod off, I'm not interested in. Sawyer's, I was flicking through those because I just wasn't. I really wasn't. And although he is a minor character, major part in the story, I really wasn't that bothered. Kip was a coming of age story. We all know how I feel about coming of age stories. Not that thrilled. So that was a bit of a disappointment. I was a bit like, oh. So the first, I'd say 60 pages, I was a bit like, I'm going to struggle with this. But then I got into it and I kind of got into a habit of how I was going to read them. And I'd kind of flick through Kip's and Sawyer's without kind of, dwelling on them too much, and then sink into the characters that I did enjoy. So yeah, so that's my kind of two penneth on this. Better than two, not as good as one. Glad I read it. Kind of wish I'd bought it, but at the same time, I don't think I'm going to ever read it again. I'm not going to read it again. I'm just going to put that out there. I'm not going to read it again. It's not going to be one that I'm going to go back to. And I don't think I'll have an idea if she releases another in the series. Who knows? Is it going to be a trilogy? What does it say at the beginning? Does it say? No, it just says the Wayfarer books. So it doesn't say, because I think at one point it was very much like this is a trilogy, but I wonder whether she's now thinking, it's not that. They're popular. I'll keep on writing. In which case, Becky, go for it. So yeah, anyway, that's my thoughts on that. My thoughts on a Wednesday. I know. Right, going to hand back to you, Friday Reads girl. Yeah. Thank you very much, Wednesday Big Head Bookworm. Yeah, there we go. So I really enjoyed that book. I absolutely loved it. There are ups and downs, but it was. I'm really glad I read it, and it was a good break from what I've been reading. I've been reading quite a lot of memoirs, and I've been reading a lot of non-fiction, and I think I needed a bit of a science fiction boost in there to kind of to change my reading state. But after I finished it, and after I went to the library, I had a good look in the library to see, because I wanted something different. I wanted something that I hadn't read for a while, and I didn't know what it was. So I ended up getting myself a Georgian romance, which is downstairs, and I got myself this, The Reckoning by Renee Arth, which is the fourth in the John Madden series. I haven't read the third yet, and they didn't have the third yet there. But I'm quite happy to read the fourth anyway. So yeah, so I'm gonna read that, but I didn't fancy either of them. And then I couldn't work out what it was that I did fancy. Anyway, I turned to my Kindle and I ended up reading some paranormal romance. Oh yes, paranormal romance for the win. I decided that was going to be what I needed. And I was sat downstairs looking at my books, and I suddenly thought, oh, yeah, I'm not sure I've read all the Jeaniene Frost books, the Night Huntress novels. I hadn't read all of them, and so I'm going to move here because I'm going to put the covers up, although I'm going to have to read them from my Kindle, so apologies if I'm looking down. So I realised I hadn't read all of these, and when I was looking through her back catalogue, I realised there was quite a lot I hadn't read, and I thought, whoa, that's what I'm in the mood for. I am in the mood for some paranormal romance. Steamy hand. Oh yes. So I found the Night Prince Quartet. So I'd started the Night Huntress, and I think I've only read the first two, although I've got the other two downstairs. I was obviously saving them for another day, so I am going to go back and read those. Then I read 2 spin-off books from it. So I'd read 4 out of 6. And then apparently there's another book, and then there was this quartet, which was the Night Prince. And Vlad Dracul is the hero, and she is Leia Dalton, is the woman with powers. If she touches somebody, she can, with her right hand, she can read their worst sin, and then whenever she touches them, she can look at their past, and she can look, sometimes gets a bit of a flash for the future, and if she can kind of trace herself, she can kind of connect with them through objects, she can find out where people are through objects, and she also has this constant current in her, so she can't touch people because she gives them electric shocks, like hugely. So that's hers, and then we've got Vlad the man. Vlad Dracul. So yeah, yes. So I started. Now, you know how some people start a box set when they're watching off the television, on the telly box, and they start a box set and that's it. They will just go through it. Now, I'm not good at doing that. I can watch like 2-3 episodes and then I have to have a kind of a break. I get too saturated almost with things. However, book-wise, I can just go and go and go. I have the equivalent when people just, binge on a box set. I binge on trilogies and quartets and that kind of stuff, reading wise. That's my thing. And we all know I can read fast. So as you saw, Wednesday, Louise had finished that book and was going to the library that day. Today's Friday. So I have read Once Burned, Twice Tempted, Bound by Flames, and the final book, Into the Fire. I know, I've read 4 of them. I've also slipped in another one there, which was The First Drop of Crimson by Jeaniene Frost. All of them. So First Drop of Crimson was a book I'd read before, one of the spin-off books, and it's like not long before these start. And then I just finished the last one today, Into the Fire. So I've read 5 books in the last 2 days. I know. I started Wednesday. Did I start Wednesday? Yes, I started Wednesday night, finished on Thursday, and then I've just been like a possessed woman. Possessed by Vlad. The name Vlad, though. I know, it's just like, Vlad. No, Vlad. No, I can't do it. But they're great. If you want a steamy quartet, I recommend. Now, I do recommend checking out the Night Huntress with Cat and Bones. That's your duo, your romance. They're very good. It's very good. Even though I haven't read all 4 of them, I do highly recommend them. But I also recommend these. Now, they were vastly reduced on my Kindle, so that's why I was able to do it. They don't have them in my library, otherwise I would have got them from the library. Although, I might well be reading them again sometime. Oh, yes. Old Vlad. Yeah, it's always good to have a bit of romantic sauce just there for me when I need it. But it's just what I needed. I didn't realise how much I just needed really escapist fiction. Just like somebody needs really escapist telly, I needed really escapist fiction. I think with all the changes going on, sometimes I just need to go and sink into the into a good read, and that's just what these were for me. They're not going to be to everybody's taste, but if you like a paranormal romance with a bit of sauce, these are the books for you. So I thoroughly enjoyed them. So I've read 5 of them. So it's been a hell of a week, really. What am I listening to on my Hoarder Bubble? I'm re-listening to a Harry Potter. I'm actually reading it to Benedict at the moment. We're going through Goblet of Fire. So he's just listened to Order of Phoenix, and we're reading Goblet of Fire, and I think he's just about to start Half-Blood Prince. I know, crazy man. So yes, and it just made me realise, that's a really good comforting listen, and that's what I fancy. I don't want a challenging listen, I want a comforting listen. So that's what I've got for there. So I've got that on my Audible. And yes, I've just finished my last paranormal romance. What am I going to read now? So I've read a lot in the last couple of days, and it's amazed me how when I do these kind of really immersive reads, I really throw myself into them, and I really kind of get swept up into the drama of it, and the romance, and the kind of the steamy side to it and everything. Like, I mean, they're ridiculous. Please understand, I do realise they're ridiculous, but they're well written because they get you involved and you're into the characters, and there was good quips. There was a lot of wisecracking, and it actually made me laugh out loud. We all know I don't. So that was really, so it shows that it's actually really well, and I was engaged in the characters. And what's lovely is that when I come out of them and I'm, going about my daily business, my mind's really quiet, and it's almost like it has a bit of it switches off my mind for a little bit. And so instead of getting the chattering mind that we all have all the time, it kind of tones it down. And there are some days like yesterday, I had a real quiet mind for the day, and I think that's partly why I like doing these kind of mad reading sessions, because it just quiets me down. So yeah, it's been great. It's been great this week. What have you done this week, Louise? I've read a lot of books. I've read a lot of romance. So yeah, it's all been good. There we go then. There we go, friends. That's my reading week. I hope yours has been successful and you've enjoyed what you're reading. If not, put it down, pick up something else. It's your day. You read what you want to read. That's what I say. Don't worry about DNFing. You can always come back to it. So that's what I say. Anyway, I'm going to love you and leave you. And this has been lovely, Butchie. I look forward to doing this again.